Hello, my fellow individuals. I am Mr. Mini-Mask Man here, and today I'm going to review Season 7, Episode 2 of The Walking Dead. Now, obviously, this video is a spoiler review to be in fact, so if you haven't seen the episode yet, then don't watch this until you do so. Alright, so this second episode, now for what we remember from the last episode, well, what a shocker, right? It got us messed up, but this episode was kind of, for me, was interesting because it was like the complete opposite, or almost like the complete opposite feeling or contrast that you feel from the first episode to this one. This one was almost like the lighter side, the more calamity that you feel, after you felt from the first one with the whole Saviors Negan situation and all that. So this whole second episode, we get introduced to the Kingdom at long last. So the Kingdom is the last community will be introduced. Well, actually, wait, no. The community we still haven't seen yet, that I think we're probably going to see after this episode, is the Saviors. How they run things in their community. But for introduction, I guess, yeah, the Kingdom would be of the three main ones: Alexandria, the Hilltop Colony, and now the Kingdom. So this episode, I like this episode. I mean, it wasn't, like I told you, it's not going to be all action-packed and all that from each episode after episode, but I thought this was a good introduction for this new community of, for the Kingdom, and most importantly for the character Ezekiel and his tiger Shiva, which, I don't care if CGI, I freaking love the tiger already. So, just like, I'm actually surprised that, I mean, I already knew they're going to bring in Shiva. Well, they have to. And I'm glad they kind of stuck with that. They didn't do any altered changes and all that. So I'm glad they did it, and she was pretty awesome. So now, from this whole episode, what I thought, let's see, the differences in the Kingdom was interesting. When you looked at the Kingdom and Alexandria, they're kind of both similar, but the Kingdom, there's something about it where you feel is more in peace. Everybody's doing fine. There's some humor in there that they have. But at the same time, they know the realities of the outside. So I think that there's some sort of balance, even though the people kind of they kind of over-exaggerate in this different fantasy that they live in, especially when they call Ezekiel king. And the way Ezekiel talks and his mannerisms is all very, like back in that time. But let's see, for what I liked in that episode was where it kind of focuses more, also, besides the introduction of Ezekiel, which, by the way, I believe it is one of the best adaptations from the Walking Dead characters on screen, besides Negan and Rick and some of those characters. Yeah, I think he's definitely a good one for both his appearance and the way he acts. He has that good balance where he doesn't over-exaggerate himself, like sometimes like in the books, but he's kind of like between his balance where he kind of has that humor with him that you see, but he kind of keeps it real, especially around the end of the episode when he reveals, to Carol about himself. So I thought his whole introduction was pretty spot on. It had to be done. So even though the whole episode was just focused on what's going on in the Kingdom, who is King Ezekiel, and so forth, I thought it was completely necessary, and I thought they done it well. It didn't bore me. It didn't make me feel like, oh, it's a waste of time or just a filler. And then we get back, to the Saviors and what's Rick doing, etc. I think it had to be done, and I'm kind of glad it just maybe took just one episode to kind of get everything they need to know. They didn't have to stretch it for maybe like another episode and all that. Now, let's see. What I liked in there is also between Morgan and Carol, with those two characters. With Morgan, I kind of like they kind of show this about him where he still kind of likes to see where he's aligned. The whole, before Morgan was more, all life is precious, don't, no killing and so forth. But, besides like I believe it was from, the last season. I don't know if it was in the season finale or the episode before it, where he had to go save Carol, and he shot one of the Saviors. And it's his, first kill for quite a while, before he went all nuts even beforehand. So he's kind of like still kind of thinking between this balance where is he gonna go just pro killing again, or is he going back to his ways? And he's kind of like between where he kind of needs to know where to balance that. And I forgot one of Ezekiel's I guess they call him what, a student or disciple that needed training. That's training with Morgan. Morgan's helping him for how to fight with the staff. And he was asking him like about the book that that guy taught him how to fight, with the staff that he gave him about what was it? Forgot. Sorry, forgot. But and he wrote something about whether life is all precious and so forth. And then Morgan kind of denied what he wrote, and he kind of says it just doesn't work that way anymore. So you could kind of see Morgan still struggling with that idea where he's like, it just doesn't work that way. And he's just kind of still in this path where he doesn't know what to do, where he aligns himself with between the whole kill or not kill, or kill or be killed situation, or for whatever's going to lie ahead. And I thought it was like, I think what I like I said, it didn't went way too far with his thoughts again, where it didn't focus too much on Morgan, like, what do I do, It just kind of felt like a little bit of a glimpse. You kind of see where he doesn't know where to align himself with, but now with this guy that he's teaching, it might help him with this, make his decision and how he identifies himself with in this post-apocalyptic zombie world that we live. Not we, but they. So I thought it was interesting a little bit, at least, of what's in Morgan's head right now. And then what I also liked was the whole pigs with the saviors. When it was kind of interesting in pigs eating walkers, but how pigs are, they can almost eat anything. So and when I see that they're giving the pigs to the saviors, I say, oh, okay, so they're trying to build these, I think they mentioned they try to fill the pig's stomachs with the walker's rot and maybe infect, the saviors. Well, everybody's infected with the virus, but, to give them the infection, spread it out so they can become walkers. Now, I remember back then with with the Terminites in Terminus. Remember they're eating Bob's leg and he says, oh, I've been, infected. I'm tainted meat. And they're eating him and they start spitting out. It was never answered, I don't think. Even in the comics, it wasn't answered. Do you turn if you eat, the infected? Like, if you eat a walker. Like, if somebody for some weird reason ate a walker, just grabbed his arm or something, started eating it, will they become infected, get sick, and die, and then become walkers themselves, or nothing happens? Or, or if it's been cooked, does it infect or not? To be honest, at least as far as I know, I mean, if I'm wrong, you can let me know down below in the description box, but it's never been clear on that yet in The Walking Dead. That what would happen if, do they get infected or not, or it doesn't work that way, only if you get bitten. So it's still, I understand, I guess I see where their strategy, what they're doing, the kingdom, what they're doing with, for the saviors, when it comes to the pigs and all that. But I guess we have to see until when it shows them eating it, maybe in another episode or two. But as far as I know, I don't think it won't do much. It didn't really do much. Like, it's not, we don't know. It hasn't been identified yet, so I don't know how it works. But I kind of get the idea, I think, what they were trying to do. So at least that's what I was thinking. At least that's what they kind of said there in the show. But I thought that part was interesting. Now, with Carol now, sorry, you kind of see, Carol being Carol in the first, almost the majority, where she kind of gives her fake, happy-go, nice kind of lady personality while she's taking some things and leaving, what Carol's been doing now for these past few episodes. or what she always does whenever she has some crisis that she's going through, she just wants to leave and isolate herself and be the lone wolf. So it was kind of humorous, that when Carol met Ezekiel, she was like, "The hell is this?" It's like, "Where am I?" It's like, "Oh great, it's another strange community." So, but you kind of see, I guess what I kind of liked around there was when Ezekiel confronted her before she left, and he basically called her out on it because Ezekiel, well, as you can see when you're revealed, he's doing the same thing. He says he's putting on a character for the people and making a point that, they need a leader. People have to follow a leader that knows what they're doing, that, that they look forward to and just want to follow and guide them in their way of living in this world. So he's telling her that how he's using it is for good. It's not, he doesn't want to turn a blind eye on his people and make them believe like 100% of, of what he's doing. Well, he is, but at the same time he knows what's going on in the outside. He's not naive, like almost like in Alexandria, where you kind of see, like I said, the difference between Alexandria and the kingdom, where the kingdom, they still kind of live in the soul fantasy and on the inside, but Ezekiel and some of his men know what goes around outside, and he keeps it a secret even when he makes negotiate. Well, he has to negotiate and give half of their things or whatever the saviors require from them. He's keeping it from his people, but So he kind of, like I said, I kind of like his reasoning why he's not like that. And he even says, like, I took theater, and played these characters, so he's an actor, so he knows when people are acting, just like with Carol. And Carol's just kind of like, okay, you do your thing, I'm gonna go. But he wants to help because, like he said, it makes him feel good. Now, from that scene when they talked, when Ezekiel revealed the truth about himself and wanted to help Carol and so forth on her situation, it was, I think, almost exactly the same when Ezekiel talked to Michonne in the comics about that. And I think I kind of see where this is leading, and I'm theorizing that Ezekiel and Carol will probably have a thing, as time goes by. Because that's what happened with Michonne and Ezekiel in the comics. But in the show, since Michonne's with Rick, I'm guessing they're gonna use Carol in this case with Ezekiel. And probably, build something as time goes by, little by little. Because you kind of see Ezekiel's persistent after he gives that idea for Carol to go on her own, but not really. Which I kind of like the idea where, instead of her going on her own again, and, waste some episodes to catch her up for her to be back in the group, whatever reason, he kind of he told her a balance to go and not go at the same time. So basically she left the community outside and live in this house, but the house is not too far from the kingdom, so it's kind of like separate, where she's close with them if she needs anything or whatever, but at the same time she's not living with them to cause trouble, or what she thinks would cause trouble. So it's kind of like right here, so I kind of like that. She has her own space, but she's not completely like she ran away, or she's somewhere in a distance, so she's kind of close by where we can say, okay, she's here, it's been established, and she'll communicate back and forth with the kingdom, or specifically Ezekiel, especially when he shows up in the door with Shiva the tiger. So that's why I think also that they'll probably end up together, because you see how Ezekiel's persistent with her, and that very end you barely see her smile, just a little, not a lot, but you can kind of see like she's starting to smile, and then it just cuts like that. So it just kind of gives you that hint, So I truly think Carol and Ezekiel would, in this case, be together, will be the equivalent for Ezekiel and Michonne in the comics. So at least I think that's pretty much been kind of what they're leaning towards in this case. So let me see, I don't know if there's any other, there wasn't that much to kind of dig further in this episode, but overall I would say I think this one was I thought this was a good episode, a pretty decent one, at least to be in fact for. In this case, I didn't feel like it was a waste of time. You know, it was not one of those Walking Dead episodes where it just was a complete waste where they could have done it, you know, in a couple minutes or even half an hour at the very max. I think this one was necessary for throughout because we need an introduction for the kingdom, who Ezekiel is, you know, and then when he told how he found Shiva, because he was a zookeeper. Everything necessary, the few minor characters in the kingdom that they showed, and then a little bit of what Morgan's going through now in his head, and you know how they're, you know, what Carol's situation, what she's dealing with, and how they kind of found somewhat of a solution to her problem. So I thought everything was well done. Like I said, you know, I thought they did Ezekiel pretty damn well, you know, from the comics to the show. I think he's spot on. I freaking like Ezekiel already, you know. so I'm definitely gonna enjoy his character in the series, and I think that's pretty much all I gotta say. There's not that much. So overall, I thought this episode was good. Yeah, I thought it was good. You know, not the best out there, but it wasn't terrible. It wasn't mediocre. I thought it was at the very, very lowest decent. You know, so I would say it was a necessary episode. So, you know. But yeah, and then I guess we will see next episode. They're gonna go back to this. I think it's gonna be interesting now. I kind of like, because if you haven't seen the previews for the next episode, it's not even gonna show what's going on with Daryl. We're gonna see how the Saviors run in their community. And I think we're going to see a little bit more about Dwight himself, just like in the comics where it shows a little bit of Dwight's issue or what he's going through, what he's thinking of. So we're going to see a lot more Dwight, I think, next episode, and Daryl's situation, and then I guess Daryl's perspective, or just in general, of how the Saviors run things. So I think this is an interesting pattern that we're going through the series. You know, we see the end result with the Savior Negan to be in fact what he's capable of. Now we see the contrast of how the kingdom runs their things, and then now we're going to see a complete other spectrum of how the Saviors run their things. And then maybe we might feel like we'll see like this big contrast, or maybe we'll see something similar but with a different perspective how Negan runs things than compared to Ezekiel, you know. And then I assume after that we're going to get back to Rick and what he's going to tell the people of Alexandria. That's what I assume that following episode will be. So, I guess that's some things to look forward to for sure. So, it would be interesting. Yep. So, yeah, I think that's all I gotta say about this one. Not too long. It's not too long of an explanation review. It's pretty straightforward. I don't think there's something that stood out the most, at least during that, besides Ezekiel's speech with Carol. So just more about Ezekiel and so forth. So I think it was. I know I kept repeating some, but I thought it was a decent episode. I thought it was good. So there we go. And I think that's all I got to say about this one. So until next time, until the next episode. So can't wait. Looking forward to that one now for sure. And yeah. So if you like my video, you know what to do. And as always, I hope you guys have a nice day.